MC? Is it K-Dot? Is it Aubrey or me?
But if I'm gonna be honest, it seems like J. Cole is kinda just the middle child once again. Because as far as I can tell, no direct diss is towards J. Cole. It's just kinda collateral damage, but on the other hand, Drake does get targeted.
All your dogs getting buried. That's a K with all these nines. He gon' see Pet Cemetery.
Dog.
Oh man. Three of my favorite artists slash producers, and a lot of y'all's favorite artists and producers as well, just dropped some music. So we've got Metro Boomin and Future just dropped We Don't Trust You. Of course, it's available everywhere. I listened to the whole thing, had a few favorite songs throughout there. I think I probably had, let me see, I had six out of the 17 songs that I really liked. But overall, you guys will have to let me know in the comments what you think. Let me know in the chat too if y'all think the album was good, if it was bad, if it was just kind of if you haven't listened to it yet, let me know and we're gonna move it. We're gonna keep it going. But also Big Sean, another one of my favorite artists, just dropped his new single, which is Precision. Now I have to say, this one, I love everything about it. It's catchy, it's fun to listen to, lyrically, everything's there. Big Sean did a great job on this one, so we're gonna give him a round of applause. Now, we're gonna have a little bit of a history lesson here in a minute for y'all that don't know what's going on behind the scenes, because there is now some controversy with these album releases. Not necessarily so much in Big Sean's case, but definitely with what's going on with We Don't Trust You with Future and Metro Boomin. So from the jump with the first song, We Don't Trust You, there's a lot of speculation that Future is taking shots at Drake in this song. And we're going to get into the lyrics here in a minute. We're actually going to review a video from another artist slash producer that covers this really well. And we're going to get into the specific lyrics. But then someone who's had a beef with J. Cole and Drake for a long time, and a lot of artists really for a long time, actually was on this album and was featured on the verse where he takes multiple shots at Drake and J. Cole, and it's pretty evident to see. So let's go ahead and get to this video. This video is by King Benny Garcia. Did a great job of breaking down some of the lyrics and the history behind the beef between Drake, Cole, and even Big Sean, which we'll maybe get into a little bit later. But y'all check this one out. I'm gonna make sure I don't have it on super speed, and we should be good to go.
Kendrick Lamar is done with the comparisons. Just 2 hours ago, Metro Boomin and Future released an album called We Don't Trust You. And honestly, I was gonna wait to listen to it, but Twitter made it clear I needed to listen to it now. More specifically because of the track Like That, which features an uncredited Kendrick Lamar, and he basically unleashes war. For the last 2 months, I've been trying to figure out how are Metro Boomin and Drake really gonna beef? How does a producer-rapper beef work? And
also Travis Scott was on the album too. He was featured on a couple songs, I believe, and his features were dope. I'm not gonna lie. But shout out to Travis Scott. Either way, let's keep it going.
Metro Boomin and Drake really gonna beef? How does a producer-rapper beef work? And he enlisted Kendrick Lamar, which to me came out of nowhere because we haven't heard much from Kendrick Lamar since the release of Mr. Morale and the Big Steppers. But hey, I'm not complaining. And
yeah,
let's
I don't think
just
any of us
get
are
into
complaining.
it basically.
First person shooter, I hope they came with 3 switches.
Not gonna lie, when I heard that bar, I was like, ah.
He said, first person shooter, I hope they came with 3 switches. All right, so you already know what's about to happen. Kendrick Lamar's like, hey, Drake, Cole, this is for y'all.
Maybe this is just a bit coincidental. Maybe I'm just overthinking it. Then my guy Kendrick doubled down.
Fuck the big 3, nigga. It's just big me, nigga.
And honestly, this to me is crazy. For as long as I've been a hip hop fan, it seems like the conversation of the big.
He said the big 3. It's just big me. Oh my God. So in case y'all don't know, the big 3, Drake, Cole, Kendrick, a lot of controversy, a lot of discussion in the hip hop community about who's the greatest, who's the best. I don't think most in the hip hop community will put Drake in that conversation just because if we're purely talking from a rap standpoint, I mean, we know Kendrick and Cole are pretty far above Drake in that category. But as far as impact, I think Drake probably has most of them beat. So that's why they're the big three. The discussion's going to go on for at least another decade or so.
3 has been around, and for the most part, people already picked their camps. You're either team Drake, Kendrick, or J. Cole. And this may seem like it came out of nowhere, but I guess it makes sense if you really think about it.
Niggas so
Nah, it
thirsty
didn't come
to
out
put
of
me in
nowhere.
beef. Dissecting my words and start looking too deep.
From Kendrick's point of view, it might legitimately look like Drake and J. Cole are forming a super team.
Love when they argue the hardest.
Which, has anybody ever wondered why Kendrick was left off of this track? I think Drake is good. I'll have a lot of respect for him and the impact he's been able to make just from a branding standpoint. Y'all know I like to look at things, especially when it comes to the music side from a business standpoint. Drake, I mean, he is absolutely killing it in that regard. But when it comes to the rap side of things, Drake, in my opinion, has not made the greatest moves. I mean, even with the whole Pusha T thing, Drake's comebacks from beef he's had just hasn't been up to par with what the hip hop community expects. So I don't know why, unless it's just a promotional thing, he continues to put himself in these type of situations. But if you look at it purely from the hip hop music side of things, Drake, I don't know that he's won one of these situations, in my opinion.
Is it K Dot? Is it Aubrey or me?
But if I'm gonna be honest, it seems like J. Cole is kind of just the middle child once again. Because as far as I can tell, no direct diss is towards J. Cole. It's just kind of collateral damage. But on the other hand, Drake does get targeted.
All your dogs getting buried. That's a K with all these nines. He gon' see Pet Cemetery.
Dog.
Oh man. That's
Forget it.
All your dogs getting buried. That's a K with all
He said all your dogs in the lyric too. I don't need to explain that one.
these nines. He gon' see Pet Cemetery.
Dog. That shit was fire. Now, obviously, this referencing
Dang.
for All the Dogs, which came out a couple months ago and will forever be known as a track that tied Drake with Michael Jackson, and something that made a lot of people say that Drake was undoubtedly the GOAT now. I mean, tying with Michael Jackson, no.
Some people saying Drake is the GOAT now. I'm not hearing that. I don't know. Maybe it's because the community and circles I'm in. I'm not hearing anybody say Drake is the GOAT. As an artist, as a brand, possibly. Michael Jackson, his talent as an artist was unquestioned. I think the only person people would compare to him maybe was Prince, I guess. But even in that case, Michael Jackson's reach, his talent, his ability to perform, it was just next level. Drake, on the other hand, I don't know. I'm not hearing people. I don't. It could be me. Y'all let me know what you think in the comments.
Nobody else can do that. But Kendrick Lamar already cooked up a response for that too.
Prince outlived Mike.
By aligning himself with Prince, Kendrick Lamar is kind of discrediting everything Drake has done on the record side of things.
Dang.
Mostly because whenever you have the discussion of Michael Jackson and Prince, most people are going to say that Michael Jackson sold more records, but Prince was better. At least if they believe that Prince was better.
Yeah, I'm not seeing that either. We'll just agree to disagree. I don't think most people are saying Prince was. I'm not.
Which is
seeing
why
it.
at the beginning of the verse, Kendrick Lamar says, "Say it's a lot of goofies with a check." Honestly, this shit is like a thesis statement. He saw the counter arguments that people were gonna have, and he dismounted the conversations before they even happened. Still though, I feel like I need to rewind at least a little bit because it does seem like it came kind of out of nowhere. At least if you weren't paying attention. But
Nah,
at
it
least
didn't
for the
come out of
purposes
nowhere.
of this video, we're not gonna go all the way back. I assume you know Kendrick Lamar and Drake.
You ugly as fuck.
So it's 2022 and Kendrick Lamar returns to hip hop. It's been 5 years since the last Kendrick Lamar record, by the way, based on his family ties verse.
Smoking on your top 5 tonight.
However, when the
Yeah, it's
album
crazy it's been
came,
that long.
surprisingly, the record was mostly about mental health, which was cool, and I do think the album was good. But that whole smoking on top 5 energy went out the window. In fact, the only mention of Drake throughout the record was Kendrick Lamar saying that he was confused as to why he made up with Kanye.
With Kanye. Kanye got back with Drake, I was slightly confused.
Like, I don't know, that's not even a diss for real. In fact,
Yeah, I mean, it's not. It was confusing to all of us. We talked about it in another video. The back and forth between Drake and Kanye has just been weird. It doesn't make sense. I think at this point it's mostly been for publicity. And I see some of y'all in the chat said, ain't nobody touching, Husky Records said, ain't nobody touching Mike, period. Yeah. A lot of people, I think, would agree with that for sure.
in terms of disses, most fans have had to reach. So this is Sticky by Drake. It was released on the infamous Honestly Nevermind record. An album that everybody hated, but I think it's decent. I don't hate it as much, but a lot of people do, which makes a lot of people think that this song
Messy, get them girls off the stage, cause somebody
was Kendrick showing that he could do the same thing that Drake was doing, but make it better. Me personally, I think it's a stretch, because when it comes to dissing each other, Kendrick and Drake have never been subtle about it. They may not drop a name, but you definitely know who they're dissing. In fact, if you want an example of what a real diss looks like between these two, then Drake's got you covered.
I don't know about these guys that go away 3, 4, 5 years, want to chill out, all that shit. That's not me.
Obvious.
God dang. Why, Drake? I don't get it, man. Drake, beefs are not Drake's thing. Maybe I do get it. Maybe I get it just from a marketing standpoint. We're going to keep talking about Drake. We're talking about Drake today when a lot of people weren't feeling his most recent drop. So I'm not getting it from Drake. I think he needs to stay out of it, but if it's working for him, I guess it is what it is.
Obviously, this is a reference to Kendrick Lamar and the whole 1,855 days in between Mr. Morale and Damn, compared to Drake, who has released like 7 albums.
Which I have to say, it was worth the wait. Would y'all agree with me on that? I think however many days we had to wait for the next album, it was worth it.
Decade. It's honestly crazy, man. Shout out to Drake for that. But of course, Drake should have known better than to know that someone like Kendrick wasn't gonna let that slide. Or maybe he really believed that Kendrick Lamar wouldn't say nothing about it because of that Mr. Morale album and how much that was about growth and healing. However, as we now know, that was not the case. And you gotta wonder how much Metro Boomin played a part in all this, because for those who don't know, Metro Boomin and Drake have been beefing for a while now. Obviously not.
Yeah, a lot of people didn't know that too. Metro Boomin and Drake are not cool. Yeah, which is unfortunate because with Future's relationship with Metro, that means What a Time to Be Alive 2 is just not gonna happen. Which I'm disappointed about, for personal reasons anyway.
For the extended amount of time that Drake and Kendrick Lamar have been beefing, but this beef goes back at least a couple of years, as Drake was originally set to be on Heroes and Villains, but got taken off for whatever reason. Yep. However, the track ended up leaking online, which leads a lot of people to believe that Drake himself leaked the song. Drake has done this before with Life of the Party when Kanye dissed him. The beef was something that people speculated on, but it definitely became clear once Metro Boomin started speaking out against her loss, winning Rap Album of the Years, and the hate got solidified once Drake poked fun at Metro Boomin. So how...
Which I'm surprised Metro's been speaking out as much as he has. He's been quiet for so many years, and most recently in the past couple of years, he's been calling out 21 Savage. He called out Drake. I'm trying to think of who else. There was somebody else he mentioned recently on Twitter. But either way, Metro, he's putting himself out there, man.
Would somebody like Metro Boomin respond? How about by getting one of Drake's biggest threats and having Kendrick directly diss him? Which again is a big deal because Kendrick Lamar doesn't do disses like this, not anymore. And even Drake hasn't dissed Kendrick Lamar like this in a long time, at least not on record. So I'm predicting that.
Yeah, but he left him off first person shooter though. Come on, man. Come on, man. I mean, to me, that's just disrespectful. And her fave says, don't try to act like Cole didn't pick a side. He absolutely did. How you my homie working with the other side? Ain't no stray. He should have been over there. Yeah, and I don't think somebody else said that they think Cole is going to respond. I think Cole wants to stay out of it, honestly. And technically, Kendrick really didn't take shots at Cole. Yeah, he mentioned the big three and he said, yeah, I'm the greatest, which... who's not going to say the greatest, right? So if you think about it, Kendrick really hasn't taken direct shots at Cole. I think Cole should just stay out of it. We're going to see what happens soon. If y'all are saying you think he's going to drop something this weekend, I would be surprised. I would be super surprised.
Kendrick Lamar has just unleashed war. Of course, I don't believe that Drake will respond with a full-on diss track, at least not yet, and definitely not without an album in mind. But there will definitely be a reply sometime soon. It just depends on what album is next to release and whether that artist is featuring Drake. However, I think lost in all of this is J. Cole. Listen, J. Cole is about to set the world on fire when the Fall Off drops. I remember a couple weeks ago I made a video about how the Fall Off can determine the rankings on the big three, and I think Kendrick Lamar opened the door for that to become a reality. Because when it comes to Kendrick Lamar and the big three as a whole, it feels like J. Cole has been the most passive of the three. He never fails to praise Kendrick Lamar or praise Drake, and he goes as far as to acknowledge that most people have even forgotten of him in the conversation. I
don't think people, not on the hip hop side, have forgotten about him. I just think he wants to stay out of this messiness, man. But again, I mean, if I'm Kendrick, I'm taking first person shooter personally. So this is probably where a lot of this is coming from. I could be wrong. It'll be interesting to see how J. Cole replies. J. Cole has never really done a diss track. Sure, there's False Prophets, more notably there's 1985, but those aren't really diss tracks. Or maybe he'll see it as not that big of a deal, because it is kind of technically what J. Cole said on First Person Shooter when he was like, I feel like Muhammad Ali, or in other words, I feel like the GOAT. But regardless, I want to give a big shout out to Metro Boomin, to Future, and to Kendrick Lamar, because I haven't been this excited for hip hop in a long time. I feel like it's been probably like a year since something like this has happened. Probably more now that I really think about it. I think the last really event of hip hop was when Heroes and Villains released. And that was towards the end of 2022. So, hey, I'm down for it. Because reuniting the big three for one more run might be the most legendary thing Kendrick Lamar has ever done. Or maybe... Yeah, and I don't think this is the end either. I don't think either one of them has hit their peak yet. Well, it'll be interesting to see. Looking forward to the new Cole album for sure. I don't know, man. I think I agree with Drip. He says Cole's not going to respond. He's not like that. And I don't think he really wants any parts of it. But y'all have to let me know what you think in the chat and in the comments. What do you rank the album by Future and Metro? Like I said, I've got 6 songs I liked on there. I'll tell y'all which 6 I like personally. Everyday Hustle, GTA, Seen It All, WTFYM, and then Type-ish and Like That. Of course, Like That is song that's got a little drama. But if I had to rank it, dang, I don't know. I don't know if I want to rank it before I listen to it one more time. I listened to it first thing this morning. If I had to rank it, I'd probably give it, dang, I'm super biased too. I'd probably give it a 7 out of 10 right now. If I go back through it, maybe I'll give it a different ranking. Honestly, y'all, listening to the album, I think I might. Future's got to change it up. No, I'm not gonna say that. He doesn't have to change it up. But I think I might have outgrown Future. And that's hard for me to say as a Future music fan. Just listening to the lyrics, I think I'm at a place now to where I'm like, man, is this what we're doing? We're gonna keep continuing talking about this. I mean, he's talking about, I'll let y'all listen to it. He's talking about some crazy stuff on the album. So I don't know. I think it might be time, unless Future really has a different direction that he goes. But yeah, this is a certain type of music for a certain type of listener, I think. But the last 4 songs on this album for me were the best out of the whole thing. So Metro Boomin, always going to support him as a producer. Super dope. Got to give a shout out to Big Sean too. Big Sean, actually, it's interesting they dropped the same day, because Big Sean did have some beef with Kendrick Lamar in the past. If y'all want to know the history on that, maybe we can cover that in another video. But he actually came out and said, hey, y'all, everybody's out here saying I was talking about Kendrick on this track. I wasn't talking about Kendrick. I was talking about the hip hop community as a whole. So I don't have beef with Kendrick. So I think things have been pretty much cool with them. But y'all have to let me know what you think in the comments in the chat. What do you rank the album from Future and Metro Boomin? You think Cole is going to respond? You think Drake is going to respond? I mean, Drake is going to respond. I don't think that's even a question. And what do y'all think about Big Sean's new album, our new single too? He's got an album on the way. I'm looking forward to that as well. It's going to be nice.